The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. This is Wildcat Insider with the Mercury sports editor Tim Everson and KMAN sports director Mitch Fortner.
Well, yeah, one of my biggest fears took place Saturday. We talked about it on Powercat Game Day, didn't we, Tim?
We did indeed.
We would give up a Liberty Bowl. We would accept a bid to the Liberty Bowl as long as Iowa State did not win its 10th game for the first time ever in program history, and doing so against the K-State Wildcats. And at times, K-State was like, 10th win on a silver platter, please take it from us. Just take it. We're not getting it done today. Too cold. Not spirited enough. We end our regular season 8-4, and we'll break this down in several ways here in just a moment. But a frustrating performance and a frustrating finish to the regular season as just a glimmer of hope for K-State to make the Big 12 championship game, starting really on Friday when Colorado just throttled Oklahoma State. So the odds get even slimmer. Nothing went K-State's way. And I did not go into this weekend thinking that it was going to. No. Too many of these top teams in the Big 12 playing crap teams. But just get that 9th win. Try to spoil Iowa State's fun. Let's do that one time. They had so many opportunities to do so. It didn't happen. Welcome to Wildcat Insider. Mitch Fortner with Tim Everson. Cole Dutchendorf, AJ Shaw across the glass. They will be glad to answer your phone calls if you want to give us one, 785-537-1350. You can also text that same number with any questions or comments about the Cats. It can be football, it can be men's basketball, it can be women's basketball, as we are super deep into overlap season. But hour number 2, we're going to hear from the voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson, who was in Ames, Iowa. Super cold night. Freezing cold temperatures, a little windy. Saw Avery Johnson was one of the few out there without long sleeves on, so he was at least trying to rough it a little bit. The latest bowl projections, listen, I know there's a worst-case scenario for everybody. Like Tim mentioned it to me, it might actually be the best-case scenario at this point. The way the Cats finish in the Big 12 standings with their 5-4 record in conference play. And here in hour number 1, we're going to try to cover everything with basketball lately, but we do lead off with a little bit of a breakdown of this loss to Iowa State, and by God, it happened on play number 1. The first play of the game. K-State offense gets the football. They're going from right to left, according to the radio dial and your television screen. I thought it was a phenomenal play call. Phenomenal play call. Way to open up the game for Connor Riley, where they motion Dylan Edwards behind Avery in the gun. Well, Dylan turns in to be the pitch man on an option right, which I think, heck, if you even went with the play action, instead of play action, just giving it to Giddens to the left, there was some space for him to run, but instead it's the option. It looks like the boundary is wide open as you got a tight end going to the second level to block. So there's only one guy to take either the pitch man or, depending on where the football goes, there's just one guy there to defend it. The pitch goes behind Dylan, fumble on the first play, and a few plays later, 7-0 Iowa State.
Yeah. And, of course, the immediate thought that you want to have in that scenario is like, all right, it's early. But how many times has K-State made that early mistake in a game and then just never really seemed to kind of get things back in control? And that's exactly what happened. Iowa State goes down and scores. K-State managed to tie it up. Eventually, they tied it at 7-7, but it was just kind of okay. So it's gonna be that kind of game. And they were playing catch up all night. Basically, defense did a great job in the second half. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually. But it was definitely the fumble. I think that if you allowed yourself to let your less than hopeful side out, it was just like, okay, well, I guess we'll start looking at bowl games then.
I've been preaching all year long. I mean, to me, it just feels like the start dictates how well this team is going to play in that game. Not every game, of course. I mean, there has been a few slow starts where K-State got up and moving a little bit, started scoring the football. I think Tulane's a great example of that. But that was game 2. Tulane turns out to be a pretty good team this year, even though they just lost their Friday game, and that screwed them out of a chance at the college football playoff for the most part as the group of 5 representative. I say representative, being a top 5 conference champion. But K-State's slow start, you go fumble, punt, touchdown, punt, fumble, downs, and then they score a second touchdown. The thing is, once they got that deficit, right, they do tie it up. But I tweeted this out. There are a couple of things, and a lot of this was turnovers, and that is a pattern that took place in all 4 of these games. But K-State, I think at the end of the day, had at least 8 opportunities to tie or take the lead after really since the start of the game. And K-State was 1-4. They were 1 for 8, 1 for 9 in those opportunities to tie or take the lead. So they had plenty of opportunities. But what we saw early was just the punch in the gut, make you want to pull your hair out fumbles that K-State gave up. And that's been a major issue in these losses. First of all, I mean, K-State ends the regular season 1-3. So their right there is just frustrating in its own right. But the way K-State just shoots themselves in the foot. And I want to play a clip from Kleiman here real quick, but on the turnover part of this, in these 4 losses, K-State turned it over on a play that was snapped inside their own 40 8 times. I tweeted that out. That tweet got a little crazy. What I didn't mention in that tweet is 7 of those 8 times, the other team went down and scored a touchdown. Very pivotal moments that these costly turnovers are taking place. And then the defense is giving up some points, which you can argue, well, the defense should make those stops no matter where the ball's being, where it's taken over. They got to make a stop. Or, well, the offense is putting the defense in a bad spot. I think both are true, but it does start with the offense. It starts with the offense doing its job, and I lean towards more. It is putting the defense in a bit of a rough spot, especially first play of the game against Arizona State. It was the second play of the game. Chris Kleiman, after the game, talking about the turnovers.
Guys, I mean, this is the most obvious thing. We turn the ball over, we're not going to be successful, okay? And we dropped 2 picks. I get it, man. I appreciate questions on things. We turned the ball over, and they didn't. And we had 2 opportunities with picks, guys. Those hurt you. From whatever the game it is, guys, every game's its own individual story. Every game's its own individual season. And when you turn the ball over, you're not going to be successful.
No, not at all. There was another part of this press conference after the game where, Chris Kleiman talked about 8-4 team, that maybe this team is not quite in getting the respect they deserve.
Guys, I know that everybody wants K-State to go undefeated, and I want to go undefeated. And it's frustrating that we've lost a couple games that we felt we had a chance. Okay, this one is a tough friggin' game to win. But I am going to support and I'm going to back this football team and back the coaches. We won 8 games. There's 8 teams in the country that have done this, and we're one of those 8 teams. And I wish our kids would get the respect our kids get, and our coaches get really disrespected because of a loss, a poor play call, a poor tackle, a poor something. This is a hard business right now. It's a really hard business. And we won 8 games for the 4th year in a row. And there's 8 teams in college football that have done that. There's some teams in our league that went the other way, and this team didn't do it. And I think we need to at least acknowledge that. And sometimes I don't think it gets acknowledged.
Okay, so there's that full answer. And I guess we could break down the Iowa State game a little bit more. I don't think we need to go too far into it. It is what it is. Maybe, Tim, you wanted to say something about the defense, because Coach, in that first clip he mentioned the defense twice. Yes, there were a couple of pick sixes that should have absolutely taken place. The defense ends up with 9 breakups. And if you look at the numbers, actually, for the pass defense, who's been not so consistent and disappointing this season, probably their best game of the year against Iowa State. They had 9 pass breakups, but they just didn't have an interception. They didn't themselves go get turnovers, which in the last 4 games, Well, the secondary just won. I should not just say the secondary. The defense just one interception. That was Brendan Mott, who had the interception against Arizona State.
Yeah, I just, things, especially when the offense is kind of spinning its wheels and not running, things can spiral real quick. It could have been a lot uglier. I know that that's not helpful for K-State winning or anything, but that at least showed some sign of an improvement or something, because that Iowa State passing attack is no joke. And they got some things off, but to kind of hold them to what they did, especially in the second half, only 3 points. It was 5 points total, but those two were that stupid safety.
Yeah, that was
it was so bad, and I feel bad. I feel bad for him. That's a learning thing, but oh my gosh. But defensively, I thought they played well enough to win this game. Dropped picks aside, and that is one of the more frustrating things about. It wasn't a complete, they've had games where it's been 3-phase failure all the way down the line. But the defense played really well today against one of the best offenses in the Big 12, and it just wasn't enough from everyone else.
So going back to Chris Kleiman's comment about maybe the team not getting the respect it deserves, I hear his point on 8-4. Yes, it could be a lot worse, especially with that being at least the floor and a consistent one. No doubt about it. I will take that. But I'll try to explain it this way. We, as fans, we have higher expectations. But the frustration for me as a fan, I'm just going to speak for myself here, is the way it all kind of unfolded. Because at one point you were 7-1. You controlled your own destiny. You had what we thought at the time was an easier schedule coming up. After you'd already played Colorado, you'd played BYU, you had KU on the horizon. We still didn't know how the Big 12 was unfolding at that point. We still dreaded that road trip to Ames because you knew it'd be cold and Iowa State was decent. Didn't realize how good Arizona State was at the time, but you controlled your own destiny, and you feel like this team absolutely had the talent to be at least a 10-win team. You were right there in it to be a 10-win team because, no doubt, I think the two losses we're going to look back on is Houston and Iowa State. Yes, they're both on the road. They're two very winnable games and two games where K-State had absolutely the opportunity to win that game, and they didn't get it done. After Avery threw that first interception at Houston, nothing happened. There was no response after the interception, and Houston scores, and all of a sudden, and then it's all Houston at that point against Iowa State. They miss a field goal. K-State has 3 opportunities after their last touchdown to go take the lead, and they go minus 7 yards on 5 plays. There's a safety. 8 yards on 4 plays, minus 5 yards on 4 plays. They did absolutely nothing on their final 3 drives. That's the frustrating part because we know this team was good enough to be much better than what that record shows. And then what you see on the field, well, it looks like at times just a sloppy mess. You want to bring up special teams. Special teams did not look improved. The return game after Arizona just never really got going. The botched snaps. I know they bring in a coach that was in the NFL for a long time, was supposed to be this guru to fix things, and it didn't feel fixed. It felt worse than what that was. And then, again, both the inconsistencies on both sides of the football where it just looked like at times this team wasn't being coached well enough.
Yeah, and you heard it in that clip. Kleiman is always going to go to bat for his guys, whether it be his coaches or whether it be his players. He's going to want to take all the blame. He's done it most notably after the Arizona State game whenever he kind of broke down a little bit because of everything that was going on. And the players were like, no, this is our – at a certain point, no, it is not all on Kleiman. But things kind of need to change. There need to be some changes for the way that kind of how things – how this road went here and kind of what – and it wasn't just our expectations. I mean, we're basing a lot of those expectations from what we're hearing from coaches. What coaches were saying preseason, what they're saying about Avery, what they're saying about the run game, what they're saying about the secondary. All those, that's they're not coming from nowhere necessarily. And I don't know. It just so many things, so many un-K-State-like losses of K-State beating themselves versus teams that probably should be inferior to them. It's troubling. It's a troubling trend. It sucks when it happens once in a season, but when it's happened this many times, even in wins, even if you look at the KU win, barely. You look at the Tulane game, barely. So I saw a tweet that this team is closer to 6-6 than 6-5 than 8-4, or
6-6.
There we 6-6.
Yeah.
Yes, probably because
you survived KU in Colorado with a very late score.
Granted, you easily could have beaten Houston and Iowa State as well. You were right there, and you didn't do it. But it felt like, even though the score was right there, it felt like the effort needed to pull that off was pretty high. And then Arizona State and BYU, those were what they were. They were two good teams. One was on the road, and you lost. But I don't know. It's just it feels, I guess, to find a point in my rambling here, it feels like they're kind of reeling right now, and there isn't like a clear path forward. Even 8 wins, fine. The Big 12 hasn't been the strongest conference in the world, and I think a lot of the K-State schedule became deceiving because a lot of the better teams that they thought they were playing ended up being Oklahoma State, ended up being one of the worst teams in the country. So I don't know. It's just such a weird. We haven't really had this, with the exception of COVID, this COVID season, and you can blame it on COVID. But to not really kind of feel comfortable with kind of the apparatus around the team and the plan going forward, and is everyone who is in a leadership position where they need to be, to have questions about all of that. I'm not saying one thing or another. I like Connor Riley a lot. I don't know about the special teams guy. What's happened on the field has happened on the field, and that's all I have to go on. But I don't know. There's no confidence for me right now in a lot of areas, and that's weird. It's a weird feeling for me.
Well, I do believe in Chris Kleiman to do the necessary things. It was already a bit of a risky move anyway to move Connor Riley at the offensive coordinator position, and I can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure more than not, feel like now maybe that wasn't the right move, because if you were to poll fans, should Connor Riley be the offensive coordinator next year? I would guess that most would lean no, and I say that after I've thought most of this year that the blame shouldn't all be put on Connor Riley, because at many times this year I felt like that team was at times put in the right spot and they did not execute. No. There was a complete lapse of execution at times, but also didn't really feel like the team got a whole lot better as this season progressed. I mean, in some areas, maybe there's only really room for regression because they're so good at certain moments, and certainly early on in the season with the running game and and stopping the run. And that's where K-State was certainly the most consistent in stopping the run this season. That never really stopped for the most part. You saw better teams. You saw teams that are a little bit harder to stop, and for the most part, the numbers didn't look too bad, really. K-State is still in line, running the football to just completely crush the yards per carry record at K-State, which is 5.27, and right now they stand at 5.9 or 6. So, I guess those are some of the moral victories, but yeah, I mean, just losing 3 of the last 4 of the regular season when you had a chance to still get to the Big 12 championship game, that's where it really sucks. Yeah. So, yeah, now the question is, what is Jace Brown doing? Is he going to transfer or not? What's the plan here? He scores 2 touchdowns after some people out there on social media saying that he's gone. Don't expect him to play on Saturday. He plays and scores 2 touchdowns and has his only second game of the year of over 100 yards receiving.
Looks real good.
We'll have to talk about that a little bit later on, talk about all that are in the transfer portal now from K-State, I believe they're up to 3 now, officially.
3.
Three.
Yes.
So we'll have to touch on that a little bit later on. But yeah, certainly a rocky finish. And even adding to the frustration is the potential bowl game destination. Nobody's excited for it because it looks like a bottom tier bowl game. Those that are traditionally going to bowl games may be excited for it. But it's one of those, hey, your bowl gift is a cutting board type of bowl game for the players. Yeah, not too excited. Which Coach Kleiman after the game did say he is encouraging guys to play in the bowl game. Right now, you're just hoping to survive the transfer portal. Yeah. And you're not going to have a number of key guys jump into the portal after this year. What has turned into a disappointing season when it comes to wins and losses. And what could have been for this team. Yeah, it was under the expectations. But as this league has shown, programs can definitely be successful in waves. You'd hope it's on its way back up here in the near future, especially with the number of guys that could end up coming back for another year. And I'm not just talking about seniors, like everybody that would be, coming back next year. Hopefully they don't transfer. It really adds up to, okay, yeah, it's another year of high expectations. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Coming up next, it's a record-setting day yesterday for K-State men's basketball against one of the worst opponents they could have on their schedule. That's next on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
WTC Fiber Internet is on its way to all of Manhattan. Sign your home or business up today at WTCKS.com. No contracts, no data caps, or overage fees. Fast, local, reliable. WTC Fiber Internet. Sign up today at WTCKS.com.
I'm Shelby Cole, owner of Salon Tendencies. I believe everyone deserves to feel beautiful without breaking the bank. You can find me at Ivy Hair Studio in Candlewood or message me at 785-747-7967. Don't wait. Book that appointment with me because your beauty is my tendency.
D&I Plumbing, Heating, and Air will provide honest and quality service when you need it most. From a leaky faucet to replacing your water heater. Trust the experts at D&I Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Your York and other makes and models local dealer. Call 537-7138 today.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
Tired of sleepless nights and waking up feeling exhausted? If you suffer from sleep apnea or snoring, Downtown Dental Group has a solution. Oral appliance therapy is FDA approved and covered by PPO and Medicare. No invasive surgery and no drugs. Just a custom-fitted, comfortable device that's easy to wear. These discreet retainer-like devices eliminate loud snoring in 90% of patients. Start enjoying restful nights and energized days. Visit downtowndentalmanhattan.com or call them at 785-776-0097 to book your consultation today. Sleep better, live better.
Are you tired of that outdated kitchen? Is your basement more dungeon than hangout, or do you need a complete new home build? Well, no matter what you're looking for, Greg Wyatt Construction has been making home dreams come true for over 30 years. Greg Wyatt Construction is the licensed, experienced professional builder that will give you the quality craftsmanship that you can trust. Don't believe me? Go online and look at his reviews. Give Greg Wyatt Construction a call at 785-313-3819 and build something amazing together.
Mahomes has a pass for the left side. It is caught. Touchdown! Floating it up to Justin Watson. And now Patrick Mahomes has set the all-time Kansas City Chiefs record, besting the late, great Lenny Dawson.
Next up, the LA Chargers come to GEHA Field at Arrowhead to face the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Pre-game starts at 6 on your home for Kansas City Chiefs football.
Manhattan's home for the Chiefs. News Radio KMAN.
Hi, I'm Jake Powell with the Manhattan Fire Department, here with some smoke alarm tips to keep you and your family safe. Install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. Interconnect all the smoke alarms throughout the home for the best protection. When one sounds, they all sound. Make sure you can hear the smoke alarm from where you sleep. Test your smoke alarms at least once a month by pushing the test button. And make sure everyone in the home understands the sound of the smoke alarm and what to do if it goes off. Smoke alarms with non-replaceable long-life batteries are designed to remain effective for up to 10 years. If the alarm chirps, warning that the battery is low, replace the entire smoke alarm right away. For smoke alarms with replaceable batteries, change these batteries at least once a year. If the alarm chirps, replace the battery. All smoke alarms should be replaced when they are 10 years old or no longer function when you push the test button and change the battery. For more fire safety tips, visit us on Facebook at Manhattan Fire Department.
Brought to you by the Manhattan Fire Department and Manhattan Broadcasting Company.
Do you think you've been discriminated against at work or when applying for a job? Call the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission anytime, any day at 800-669-4000. It's unlawful for an employer to harass you or treat you differently because of race, color, sex, national origin, age, religion, pregnancy, or disability. The law also protects you against retaliation for complaining about discrimination. Again, the number to call is 800-669-4000. Equality at work, your right, EEOC's job.
I'm AJ Shaw with a sports update for News Radio KMAN as Wildcat Insider continues. Chor scored 21 points to lead 6 in double figures, and a late flurry of three-pointers gave K-State the school's scoring record in a 120-73 victory over Arkansas Pine Bluff.
I think the flow's been really good since the Virgin Islands. Even though we fell a little bit short, I feel like we took 10 steps forward. Offensively, I feel like the rhythm of the game, it wasn't forced. It felt really much smoother. Everybody was making the extra pass, and it kind of led off today.
A three-pointer by Taj Manning gave K-State 117 points with 2 minutes to go, breaking the school record of 116, setting a win over Texas last year. Doug McDaniel then added another three a minute later for the final score. Led by a Chur, K-State had 68 points from its bench. McDaniel had 18 points and 10 assists. And David Castillo made 5 threes and had 17 points. K-State women's basketball's loss to Duke last week at the Ball Dogs Classic was the impetus for its near-exact switch of slots between the two in the last AP Top 25. The K-State women were slotted at number 13 in the poll this week after climbing into the top 10 previously. Duke moved up to the number 8 spot after beating the Wildcats and number 8 Oklahoma last week. TCU has grabbed its best ranking ever in the AP poll. After a convincing win over Notre Dame, the Horned Frogs climbed 8 spots to number 9, the first time the school has been in the top 10. UCLA was at 1 with UConn right behind him. Now back to Wildcat Insider on News Radio KMAN.
It is Wildcat Insider. Mitch, Tim, Cole, AJ, did you watch Better Call Saul?
I watched Breaking Bad. I didn't watch Better Call Saul.
Pretty good.
I need to. It's been on my list.
Have you ever tried to talk somebody into watching Breaking Bad and they're like, I watched the first few episodes, I just couldn't get into it?
It's tough. It's like, gotta keep going.
That's that one show that probably irritates me the most. That I recommend, and they're like, I tried the first few episodes, I didn't get into it. Like Breaking Bad. Crazy show.
Yeah.
I couldn't recommend it enough.
Give it a season, man.
Oh, yeah.
Give it a season.
And as I tell everybody, Breaking Bad gets better as every season goes. Every season it gets better and crazier. So if you're one of those out there that's like, I gave Breaking Bad a shot, watched 5 or 6 episodes, I just didn't, wasn't crazy enough for me. Take my advice. Take Tim's advice.
Give it a season.
We're doubling down on this. Yes, give it more than just a season. I'm sure Cole would give you the same. You're shaking your head yes.
I 100% agree with everything that you both are saying. Phenomenal show.
There you go. Better Call Saul was a slow climber, but it was like Breaking Bad. It got better as it continued. The last couple of seasons were phenomenal. Okay. At least K-State beat KU. That's all I'm going to really say. It would have been Coach Kleiman, coaching staff, play. It would have been a lot. The criticism would have been much worse if you didn't get it done against KU. At least you got that one. I always say that as long as you at least beat KU, I'll somewhat be content with the season. But man, this could have been much better than 8-4. Okay. With that being said, K-State men's basketball, K-State women's basketball playing right now as well. The K-State men are now 6-2. And if you looked at yesterday, they're playing Arkansas Pine Bluff. The women are playing the Sugar Bears of Central Arkansas. Well, for the women, at least you had Aoki to watch because she's approaching the milestone of the highest score in K-State women's basketball history as she's looking to pass Kendra Wecker. She's now 13 points shy. And by the way, they play tomorrow night in Bramlage Coliseum to the K-State women. You know what? 13 points for Yoki to become the all-time leading scorer in K-State women's basketball history. You want to see it in person? I have 2 tickets. 2 tickets tomorrow's game. We're going to give them away in hour number 2. If you want an opportunity to win these tickets Text AYOKA. That's AYOKA to 785-537-1350. Again, 785-537-1350. Hold on just a moment. Pause on the basketball news for just a second. I hate it when my email gets logged down on me randomly by Gmail, because now I am trying to scramble to get this thing unlocked, because it looks like we just got a pretty interesting email from K-State Athletics. K-State has named a new head soccer coach.
Oh.
It'll be Colleen Corbin. Colleen Corbin, the 2022 Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year, who spent the 2024 season as the associate head coach at St. Louis, was announced today as the new head coach for K-State women's soccer. That's according to athletics director Jean Taylor. She has agreed to a 5-year contract approved by K-State Athletics and the board of directors and president Richard Linton. Corbin will be formally introduced in a public press conference to the public during a press conference on Thursday, December 5th at 11 a.m. at the Steel and Pipe Team Theater at the Veneer Football Complex. There'll be a live stream. Let's see. I'll have to read a little bit more about this a little bit later. But, yeah, K-State soccer has a new head coach, Colleen Corbin.
It's exciting. You know, it's not something, this program has had to deal with since its inception. Mike DeBini came with everything else that K-State soccer came with about a decade ago. So, I don't know. She looks fairly impressive. Before she was at St. Louis, she was at Wyoming and led the Cowgirls to a Mountain West title there. I don't know. I mean, it seems like a strong fit. Obviously, someone already in the Midwest, already kind of, St. Louis is a big city, but still.
Well, and she was responsible for the defense and the goalkeepers, it reads here. And I mean, last year they finished 15-2-6, 7-0-3 in the A10, which they were the regular season and conference tournament champions, got the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. They reached the second round after beating who? The Kansas Jayhawks in the first round, 1-0. Like that.
That is nice.
Let's see here. In her first, she coached at Wyoming, it looks like. So, yeah. I'm going to have to read into this a little bit more.
Breaking news, folks.
But it is breaking news. K-State soccer has a new head coach, Colleen Corbin. We're all going to get a meter on Thursday. Actually, I might have to skip that because I might have to send old Tim or old Cole or AJ out there to check that out, because I'll be heading to Hayes, America, for the Hayes City Shootout.
I will definitely be there.
Manhattan High girls and boys basketball will be opening up their season Thursday, and the action right here on News Radio KMAN. Okay, back to basketball. So yesterday, the K-State men knock off Arkansas Pine Bluff 120-73. 120 is significant because that is the most points ever scored in a game in program history. The previous record, 116 against Texas a couple of years ago in Austin when Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson were playing for the Cats. That was like a 116, 10 something, 108 or something like that.
Yeah.
Very high-scoring game. This one a little bit different, where pretty pleased with the offense, right? They finished 47% from the field, or excuse me, not that was Pine Bluff. 61% from the field, 52.5% from three. They make 21 threes, the second most in program history. The record, of course, 23, the Ski Jones game back in 94 against Fresno State. You had, let's count them up here, 6 players in double figures. The bench points were through the roof. Chora with 21. 18 from Doug McDaniel, 17 from David Castillo, who was 5 of 9 from 3. He had a phenomenal game. Brennan Hazen with 14 points, Max Jones with 12, and David Gasson with 17. The offense was fun. They were knocking down shots. Looked like they were actually running some offense, which was great because at times it looks like they're not. The defense I wasn't happy about. And neither was a Chora after the game.
Honestly, the defense was kind of crap. It was kind of crap towards the second half. We're going to be completely honest with ourselves. We allowed 20 points. We had a goal to keep up 55. I feel like we took our foot off the gas a little bit. We shot too high from the field goal.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell they definitely let off the gas a little bit, like they maybe taking some possessions off, because there were at times that Pine Bluff was scoring a little bit easy, a little bit too easy, and especially in the paint. And Arkansas Pine Bluff is not good.
No.
They're a 1-7 team. Their net ranking is 358 out of 364 teams. The team that's dead last in the net, by the way, Mississippi Valley State, who K-State only beat by, 12 points? No, it was more than that. It was 18 points. I think it was 18 points. But just an underwhelming performance by Coleman Hawkins, which kind of becomes the big takeaway again, because even though K-State scored 120, the most points ever scored in a game, Coleman Hawkins still finished with just 2 points. He was 1 of 5 from the floor, 0 of 3 from three-point range, 4 assists, 3 steals, 4 rebounds. Okay, well, still had some pretty nice numbers in other places. Well, I did bring it up to Coach Tang. He kind of gave me that look like he wasn't happy about the question. Here was Coach Tang on Coleman Hawkins scoring 2 points.
People want every guy to be a Superman every night. And tonight wasn't as he's like, my teammates are rolling. And he was actually calling the stuff that would allow him to be a facilitator rather than a scorer. And so this is not an off night. Coleman did what we needed to do to win because he's a winner. And he cares about winning and he loves his teammates.
So K-State fans would say that doesn't look like $2 million. The point totals aren't $2 million. Okay. This has now been multiple times where Coach Tang has basically said, well, Coleman is doing what we need him to do. Okay. I'm gonna go a different way than most others are. I'm gonna take that. If he's still providing the assists, he's providing on defense, getting a lot of deflections, which he was, once again. He's still rebounding, getting the ball to the right open guy to shoot a three or get an open shot or helping direct traffic, being a swingman. If that's what Coach Tang wanted all along, and this is the Coleman Hawkins we're getting, and he's the right Coleman Hawkins we need, okay. That's going to put a lot more weight, I think, on other guys' shoulders if he's not scoring the basketball. And I think that's also a little bit easy to say when your team scores 120.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Hearing the comments after the game and then watching Coleman, I don't know. It's in one hand it is easy to kind of take Tang at his word and be like, all right, fine. I mean, if that's what you need your most high profile transfer to do, and he's doing it, and everyone is hitting shots, okay. But we've seen this team not hit shots and
as a team.
Yeah. And they're going to not hit shots again at some point because that's just kind of how it works. You go through hot and cold streaks. You can't, shoot almost 60% in every game. If you do, you'll never lose a game. But I don't know. I want more. Like, it was exciting whenever they played Longwood and he had 18 points and
well, yeah, exactly. Like, where is K-State if Coleman does not kind of go off in that game?
But maybe it is like a choice in the moment where it's just like, hey man, this is going the way that it's going. They don't need me. I'm just going to try to keep this energy going. And I don't know. And I would find that argument easier to believe if he played a more prominent part versus Liberty and versus LSU. And in some of the other games where no one was having any scoring, like the scoring was not easy to come by at all. So, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, this Saturday, whenever they go to New York to play St. John's, that's going to be perhaps their biggest test that they've had so far. And then Drake and Wichita State after that are two really good teams. So, I mean, we're going to see. But I hope Tang's right.
My gut just tells me, moving forward, and K-State's not playing a hungry. The reason I even asked the question about Coleman is because it just seems like when he's at home, his shots are way more off the mark. They're not even close. It looks like he misses some wide open shots or like a runner that's not going in. It just seems like he's not himself, or at least he's not as confident in himself when he's playing at home after heard some boos. And when he gets to the the Virgin Islands that he's playing better. Mm-hmm. He's scoring more. But you're now entering a stretch where K-State isn't playing at home for 4 weeks. They're not in Bramlage for 4 weeks. And coming up, St. John's, 6-2. You know, they've played some tough games. They lost a close, was it? Who they just lose to? You were telling me about this, Cole, in the office. Who did St. John's just lose to?
Lost to Georgia.
Georgia. Yeah. I don't know how good
Georgia and Baylor are their losses.
Oh, Baylor. That's the one. Because I think that Baylor one was that a close game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 99-98.
Yeah. I mean, so they can go. St. John's can go. That's at their house, by the way, not at Madison Square Garden. You have Drake coming up, and Drake is undefeated. Mm-hmm. And Wichita State is coming off a loss, right? But to Florida, they just lost to Florida, who's a top 25 team. Wichita State's been off to a hot start. I mean, these are all 3 teams that have a higher net ranking than K-State does, who's right now in the 90s. So these are all quality opponents.
Be a great way to kind of dig yourself out of the little hole that you're in.
Yeah.
If they can get 3 wins here, I will say real quick, just to add two more things that I thought that were notable about the win. 16 steals, which was the 6th best mark in school history. 16 steals, 32 points off those steals. And then, you know, K-State was so terrible depth-wise last year. They were awful. They had 68 bench points. Now, part of that, you know, Coleman Hawkins not scoring left room for other people. 68 bench points, the best in school history since the stat has been kept, which started in 2005. So I don't know. I mean, those were encouraging, I thought.
Yes, they did improve against the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Division I college basketball. What I mean by that, because Mississippi Valley State's the worst you can possibly face in college basketball, and that was a bit of a, you know, it wasn't impressive.
You needed smiting. You needed to see them smite someone, and they did it.
Just absolutely crush them, and they did. They did against Arkansas Pine Bluff. That was, I say, expected. I mean, winning by 50 points. Yeah, against a team like that, you expect that. Not 120 points you score. I mean, that was just crazy yesterday. So I think we've seen kind of the way this team can shoot it sometimes. We've seen a ceiling and possibly a floor with them a couple of times shooting under 30% from three-point range as a team. We've kind of seen both ends of that. Now with consistent for the rest of the season, from here on out, solid competition from here on out, we're probably going to see where does this team fall in the middle of those two numbers of just either just crazy, out-of-this-world offense or struggling against teams you should not struggle against. They're going to have to meet somewhere, but it needs to be in a positive area, and they got a great opportunity to make that happen here coming up this Saturday. Was it 10:30?
Mm-hmm.
Tipping off at 10:30.
Breakfast basketball.
Saturday morning. When we come back, the K-State women, where are they at right now, plus the latest on Aoka Lee's scoring record, where's she at? And we'll touch a little bit on Big 12 football when we come back on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Throughout every community in Kansas, you find hardworking people who make our state better each day. They bring their absolute best to everything they do, determined to reach their full potential and make life better not only for themselves, but for every citizen in Kansas. They are the soldiers of the Kansas Army National Guard, proudly serving part-time in their home state. When storms, floods, or wildfires tear through the state, the Kansas Army National Guard is there to help Kansans stay safe and help communities recover. Their service also provides them a chance to further their education with 100% state tuition assistance, low-cost health insurance, and leadership skills that will help them succeed. All of this comes from their part-time service, leaving them plenty of time to enjoy life with their family and friends. Learn more about service with the Kansas Army National Guard at nationalguard.com/KS. Sponsored by the Kansas Army National Guard, aired by the Kansas Association of Broadcasters and this station.
If Kansas weather has taught us anything, it's to be prepared for everything. It's time to call M&S Plumbing, Heating and Air to make sure your furnace is ready. From full safety inspections to replacing your furnace, M&S Plumbing will keep you and your family warm this winter. If it's been a while since you've had your furnace serviced and inspected, be sure to call and schedule your appointment today. Simple fixes now can save you big money later.
Call the experts who care. M&S Plumbing, Manhattan Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer. In order to widely publicize our job opportunities and outreach programs and organizations that regularly distribute employment information to the job seekers or refers candidates to employers, please contact us about our employment contact list to receive the most current information about station vacancies. For more information or to be added to the list, please call Manhattan Broadcasting at 785-776-1350. Visit us at 2414 Casement Road in Manhattan, Kansas, or email frontdesk@1350kman.com.
The Ramsey Show.
The problem is the stupid banks will loan you so much money that they put you in bankruptcy because they don't have an off button. They'll just loan you money. You know, you can go get a credit card, you can go on a trip you can't afford, you can go down here and get a car. You know, there's actually people out there walking around that still think that if the bank will loan it to you, it means you can pay it. The same people that think if you have checks left in your checkbook, there must be money in the account. Same people.
Life and money advice. The Ramsey Show. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on News Radio KMAN.
Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area forecast. Calling for mostly cloudy skies tonight, but then gradually becoming clear with a low of 16. Sunshine, a high of 43 tomorrow, but a light south wind that'll shift to the southwest throughout the morning. Between 5 to 10, they could get as high as 20 miles per hour. Then mostly clear skies tomorrow evening with a low of 31. Those wind gusts again could get as high as 20 miles an hour as they'll come out of the southwest.
All right, final segment of Hour 1 on Wildcat Insider. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, and Cole Dutchendorf, AJ Shaw all with you today. Phone number 537-1350. Also the same number to text if you want to text or call a question, comment, 785-537-1350. K-State women's basketball, they slipped to number 13 in the latest AP poll that came out this morning. After going 1-1 in Vegas, they lose to number 13 Duke at the time, 73-62, and then they beat DePaul 92-66, and then yesterday in Bramlage to get to 7-1 on the year, they defeat Central Arkansas, the Sugar Bears, 86-39. A couple of quick notes real quick. Terrence Sides has been better than what I was even expecting. After what Jeff Minnie said in the preseason, how much of a sharpshooter she's been at practice and in the summer, knocking down triples. Look, she's been better. She's through 7 games, 49% from three-point range. She's 17 of 37. So to make 17 in 7 games so far is a really great number. She's just getting better and more confident with her shot as the season continues, even though it's a very young season. Now, as a team, I wasn't nobody was really too thrilled about their performance after starting on 11-0 run against Duke. Boy, did they struggle with ball screens and a little bit of on-ball defending. There was a lot of struggle there, but some nice rebounds. But K-State has only had that one true test so far away from Bramlage Coliseum, and there was a lot left to be desired. So, maybe still a lot to prove for this team. Well, they're now, they're starting yesterday. They're playing 4 games in 8 days. It's kind of the opposite of the men who are playing 1 game in 2 weeks or something like that, as they're going to have next week off. The women are playing 4 games in 8 days, so they're kind of going the opposite direction of the K-State men. But I'm still pretty satisfied so far from what I've seen from the K-State women, shooting the 3 well, 35.5%. Tamara was a little bit better against UCA, shooting the 3. She knocked down her first 3 of the game. And that was another game as well. Yeah, they were very successful at scoring the basketball and playing some phenomenal defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get frustrated when you get kind of blitzed by a team like Duke that seems to be really good. They handled Oklahoma after they beat K-State without any real problem, and are now number 4 in the country, I think.
Yeah, they shot up.
They shot up there.
As they deserve, because
they
they beat Oklahoma, in that second game. That game was a crazy game, went to overtime. I think double overtime maybe.
Yeah, but this season it's a marathon, and it's you want K-State to climb their way back up to the top 5 and be that team, and I think they'll get there. You got to get through these. You got to get through the gimmies. You got to make sure you don't get anyone hurt or whatever, and then you go on the road to College Station. That's not they're not great or anything, but that's a good road test for you against a team that historically has been pretty good, not super recently, but it's all kind of building up, and then you're going to get plenty of tests when you get into Big 12 play. There's some kind of a couple surprise teams that are really kind of moving up the
West Virginia
looks good.
there.
TCU looks really good.
Yeah. First ever time they've ever been in the top 5 or the top 10. They're now in the top 10. Okay, we're not going to really have time to look at the Big 12. So what I'll tell you is we had to break. K-State women's basketball hosting Eastern Illinois tomorrow night at 6:30. Pre-game coverage here at 6 on K-Man. If you want 2 tickets to potentially see Aoka Lee become the all-time leading scorer in K-State women's basketball history, text Aoka, AYOKA, to 785-537-1350. We are giving away a pair of tickets in hour number 2. More K-State football coming up, and we're going to talk to the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, after a timeout. Stick around. Hour 2 of Wildcat Insider is next.
Steve and Rudy, the Gatlin brothers, have dazzled audiences for more than 69 years, accruing a lifetime of noteworthy achievements in their storybook career, including a Grammy for Best Country Song. The Gatlin brothers have entertained audiences on stages all over the world, from the Grand Ole Opry to Carnegie Hall. Don't miss the Gatlin brothers Country and Christmas Show at Kansas State University's McCain Auditorium, Friday, December 6th. Buy tickets online, by phone, or at the box office. Sponsored by Strecker Nelson West Gallery and Custom Frames.
At McCown Gordon Construction, we improve lives by building authentic relationships. No matter the project size, our clients enjoy unmatched talent and resources in the Manhattan area market. Early collaboration with our pre-construction team ensures cost certainty, preventing surprises. Whether it's space for public safety or community gathering, we build to serve the community. McCown Gordon Construction, proud builder for K-State and the KSU Foundation. Visit McCownGordon.com.
Hi, I'm Jeremy from Pawnee Mental Health. Suicide isn't easy to talk about, but it's a conversation that can save lives. If you or someone you care about is struggling, please reach out. Call or text 988 to connect with the National Suicide Crisis Line, or contact Pawnee's Crisis Stabilization Unit at 1-800-609-2002. You don't have to face this alone. Let's talk, because reaching out can save a life.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
KS State Bank wants to be your bank. Find the solutions you've been looking for at ksstate.bank. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. KMAN, Manhattan.
Weather on News Radio KMAN is brought to you by the Sunset Zoo. Memberships are a fun way to experience the zoo all year long and will make great gifts this holiday season.
Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area forecast, calling for mostly cloudy skies tonight, but then gradually becoming clear with a low of 16. Sunshine, a high of 43 tomorrow, but a light south wind that'll shift to the southwest throughout the morning. Between 5 to 10, that could get as high as 20 miles per hour. Then mostly clear skies to tomorrow evening with a low of 31. Those wind gusts again could get as high as 20 miles an hour as they'll come out of the southwest.
Well, breaking news from the last hour, K-State Athletics Director Gene Taylor has named a new head coach for the K-State women's soccer team. Replacing Mike Dabini will be Colleen Corbin. She comes from the Billikens as the associate head coach for one season. That was a successful year for those folks. Getting to the NCAA tournament was the A-10 conference champions and got the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, won the tournament as well, and beat the Kansas Jayhawks in the first round. And now she's going to become the head coach for the Kansas State Wildcats. Before that, looks like she spent, I think it's 3 seasons at Wyoming, and then prior to that was an associate head coach at James Madison for a few years, an assistant coach at Arizona State for a year, Cal State Northridge from 2014 to 2015, and she helped James Madison to a 2018 Colonial Athletic Association regular season championship. She coached the Duke's goalkeepers to the top of the league in shutout. So through her tenure, or I should say career, as a assistant coach or a head coach, she's won a handful of conference championships and NCAA tournament berths, and so not too bad. It's not the most exciting hire in the world, but she does have some pretty decent credentials.
No, absolutely, and it falls right into kind of the Gene Taylor wheelhouse of how he likes to do things. The last, 4, going back to, I guess, Jerome Tang, have been assistants on very successful programs. And the thing about Corbin is you get that, but you also get someone who has head coaching experience. And so that is helpful. It'll be interesting. Like I said before our last break, we haven't really seen another vision of K-State soccer aside from the one that kind of Mike Dabini was able to kind of grow the program with. And so it'll be kind of exciting to see what changes are made and how she's going to handle things. Yeah,
it's certainly going to be weird, especially for someone like me who's known Mike Dabini for almost a decade at this point. And to see somebody else be the head coach there, it's going to be a little bit weird. So I'm interested to hear her perspective. And, being a defensive coach, that'll be one perspective to bring to the table, of course. That's about as far as we can take it for now, and just excited to see where things go. And soccer can be tough when you take over a job, especially at this level, coming from one level of soccer to another, because, when you're recruiting in soccer, you may be spending 4 years recruiting a player who's a freshman in high school. Like, all the time freshmen in high school are committing to play, Power 4 college soccer. It happens all the time. If you want the best talent, you got to find them early. And that's even the case overseas. So, work to be done. Give it some time. And but we want to welcome Colleen Corbin to K-State. So.
Only female K-State head coach currently.
Is that right?
I believe so. I guess Kay Bucknam for cross country.
That's right.
Is technically under Travis Geffert, but is the head coach of the cross country. So it's kind of weird. But if you don't count that, then yes.
I think we should count it.
I probably should count it.
We'll count it. Okay. We got the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, standing by. Wyatt, welcome in. How cold was it in Ames, Iowa this past Saturday?
Well, it was pretty frigid. It was 22, and to be honest, I wasn't in it a lot. But I can tell you this. when you were in it and the wind was around 5 miles an hour, it was bearable. When it was 15, it was really, really chilly. And I think a lot of it is we're not really used to that kind of weather yet. And we had a little of it. It might not even have seemed that bad. And Matt said to me when he got back up to the booth after being down there that it really wasn't terrible on a scale of 1 to 10. These are my words, not him. But I got the sense that he was calling it about a 6 or so. So cold, yeah. Wouldn't want to be in it as a fan, but I think if you're playing, I think that stuff kind of goes away once the game starts.
Well, he's tougher than I am. I would have been a big baby about. I'm always bad about. I don't know about you, Wyatt, but I'm always bad about not wearing enough layers. I can be. I'm a tough learner when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think most of us were equipped pretty well. I'm talking about our entire crew. We've had a lot of experience with that. I know some of these booths, I mean, we've been to Ames many, many times and knew what to expect there, but some of these newer ones or new, not new facilities, but new places that we go, you don't really know exactly. As an example, had we had that kind of weather when we were in Boulder, we'd have been freezing to death, I think. So, not that anybody cares about that, but it is, you got to dress appropriately. And those that did, I don't think they had much problem at all. And they all came in late, but who wouldn't, right?
Right, and those windows, I learned from going to Buffalo for the first time, talking about Boulder, that when their windows are like, when they have them closed, it's like looking through sunglasses. Is it that way up there too?
Yeah, it's a little odd. It's just an older press box. I'm not trying to harp on them at all, but since my days in Colorado, I don't think they've done anything to the visiting or home radio booth. It's just, which is startling when you think about it, because this is my 23rd year here.
Yeah, and
I was 13 years in Colorado. So you start adding that up. That's a long time with not doing much to it. But I'm sure change will be coming soon for them at some point, I would guess, especially with the success they're having now. They've been down a while, and that's probably been a factor.
Well, what the heck happened?
They're moving up.
Yeah, what the heck happened in Ames? I mean, from the first play of the game, it just wasn't going right for K-State.
Well, that's the thing, and I think that's the frustration that the fans, are talking about now. That I think K-State did some good things in the game. I think everybody would probably agree with me, or most everybody, I guess I should say. I think they played good enough defense to win the game. They gave up a couple of, short field touchdowns that probably is not as much on them as just the turnovers by the offense. And then, they continue to have, a few issues with like the blocked field goal and those kind of things. Just not a clean game. I'm not blaming the officials in any way, shape, or form in saying this, but I didn't think it was the world's best officiated game either. So there was a lot there on the table. It was hard running the football consistently. I think you look at Avery's numbers; they're pretty good, but yet you don't win, and that trumps everything, right? Bottom line.
Yeah. Did you think that? Because I don't know what I wasn't listening to the TV call when it happened. I don't know what they said about it, but did you think that it was a forward pass on the first play of the game?
When I saw it live, I would have to say that I thought it was backwards, but it was really close. I mean, it looked like it was right down the line. And from our vantage point, I felt like we had a pretty good look at it. And then when I saw the replay a second time in the booth, it's like, man, I think that thing was forward. It was explained to us that if it is down the line, okay, like at the line of scrimmage down the line or forward, and then it's a forward pitch, and then it would be incomplete. And I thought that's what I saw. I don't know how long you felt like the replay went on that, but it seemed like 6 or 7 minutes. And the longer it went, I'm thinking, hey, K-State's going to be fine here. They're going to overturn this, and then they didn't. That was frustration too. And I'm probably you gripe more when you lose, right? But I have used the example in some interviews today that K-State gets penalized for having a guy an offensive lineman 2.5 yards downfield and they don't having the guy 7 yards downfield. Somebody needs to explain that to me.
It's all the same thing.
I guess, if I'm whining, I guess I'm whining.
The pass interference call, that wasn't pass interference. I understand.
That
yes,
was bad too.
Yeah, that one is rough. But going back to the pitch, K-State put the officials in that situation anyway. So
exactly,
take care of
you got to execute, man.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get your thoughts on the secondary. You know, they've been criticized a lot this year by just maybe not living up to the hype. Did the secondary have one of their better games of the year against Iowa State?
I would say probably so. And I think, you know, everybody is kind of looking at this season in two parts now, right? I think one is the 7-1 start, and then the second part is losing 3 of your last 4. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And I do think that, you know, the secondary has gotten better. And again, not when you play at this level, you're going to open yourself up for some criticism. But I don't think, as an example, a guy like Keenan Garber and a guy like Jordan Riley have played as well as they did in those first 7 or 8 games. That's just the way I see it. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not a coach, but that's what my opinion would be. Could you criticize some of the others for some of the stuff? Yeah, but you know, I maintain sometimes you get a little bit critical there, and when you're covering some of the guys that like they're trying to cover in this league, it does get difficult. And you know, they had trouble with a guy like Jordan Tyson, and unfortunately he got hurt the other day in the Arizona State game and won't be available for the Big 12 title game. Those things hurt because when you have a special guy like that, it can mean so much. And we've seen several of those, to be honest. So it's a combination of, you know, good competition and maybe not playing as soundly and as consistently as they did when they were 7-1.
Yeah, and for K-State injuries, I mean, I don't think Colby McAllister was available. DJ gets banged up, and then on the second to last play, Avery has to come out of the game. It looked like he got his bell rung there a little bit. But, I mean, if we were to pinpoint one flaw in this last stretch of games, the 1-3 finish, is there one thing that stands out to the most to you? Because I know turnovers was a big talking point brought up in the press conference.
Yeah, and I think you probably could start in several places, but for me, I mean, over the years and the time that I've been here, and I think even the shorter time that you've been covering K-State, it seems like K-State always is really rock solid in the special teams area and in the turnover margin. Wouldn't you think that is a fairly relatively fair statement? And honestly, those were really inconsistent areas all year long. You know, this team hasn't been as good in the special teams area as I think a lot of us, including myself, thought they were going to be. Maybe my expectations were maybe a little higher than they should have been. I'm just thinking, hey, with Dylan Edwards returning kicks, everything's going to be perfectly fine, right? But there's more to it than that. But the turnovers is I absolutely think you have to start there, because at the end of the day, you may disagree with this, and people riding home listening may disagree with this, but for me, I felt like walking away from that game that K-State's every bit as good as Iowa State is, and yet the mistakes were the deal, the turnovers. I mean, it's just what it is. You lose 29-21, you give 2 short fields, there's 14 points. You have an extra point, or I'm sorry, a field goal block. That's a lot of points piling up over a 60-minute game.
Yeah, K-State turned it over in a play inside their own 40 8 times in the 4 losses, and 7 of the 8 turnovers ended up in touchdowns for the rest of the team. That is a pretty big takeaway. Wyatt, we're speaking with the voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson. All right, now as we transition into basketball, from Ames to Bramlage against Pine Bluff, how many hours of sleep did you get?
Not a lot. We landed a little after 2, and this is how prepared I was. We get to the airport. I didn't know we were going to get snow. I thought if we did, it'd be a little dusting. I didn't even have a scraper in my vehicle. So I was probably there another 20 minutes waiting for all that to melt. And not that I'm complaining. I'm just being honest. And it was a short night because, you know, I think I laid down at about 2:45. Alarm went off at 5:30 because we had a shoot around at 7 o'clock, and it normally lasts about 90 minutes, which it did this time. and then that's where I usually catch, some of my pregame interview stuff. And so it was just pretty short. But as I said to a friend today, if we're gonna go make 21 threes and have 6 guys in double figures, and I'm on 2.5, 3 hours of sleep, I'm good. Let's do it. Don't you think? Score 120.
I think my biggest takeaway is you didn't have a scraper. You live in Kansas, man. I
didn't say I was smart. I can show you where it's set in my garage. It just I wasn't smart enough to put it in the vehicle yet.
I no joke. I have this little scraper. It's the size of a credit card. And if I don't have my big scraper, if I get to put it back in my car, at least I have that one that will get me by. Somebody at Purple Power Play was giving those away as a freebie years ago.
My wife had the scraper in the car, but I had the bigger vehicle. So she's a lot smarter than I am, and I don't think anybody would debate that.
Well, what was your takeaway on the 120 points against Arkansas Pine Bluff, in where Coleman Hawkins only scores 2 on the day?
Yeah. I mentioned it in another interview earlier today that I know everybody's talked a lot about Coleman and his production in a lot of cases, or lack thereof or whatever, but I was more willing to give him a pass in this one because of everything everybody else did. And he only took 5 shots. It would have been different if he had been 2 out of 13, but I think he was 1 for 5, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought he did a pretty good job overall with the other phases of the game. Let's be honest, we all know that UAPB is not real good, and they're about as interested in playing defense as you were interested in standing on the sideline at Iowa State the other night, sounds like to me. So you get the idea. They weren't all that interested in playing any kind of defense. So, but with that said, though, you were there. You have 30 assists on 40 made field goals, and I just felt like everybody had a hand in it, and I'm excited about that. It's UAPB, and these next 3 are going to be a heck of a lot harder than that. Everybody understands that. But I think it gives you a little bit of a sense of when they have that kind of ball movement, make that extra pass and get the ball inside and work it inside out and all of that kind of stuff, they can be better offensively than what we've seen early in this season. I think you would probably think that's a fair statement, and I do think that's the case. I mean, I even said this to Coach Tang visiting with him as the women's game was just short of getting started. Maybe the guy that I was the most excited about that looked like a guy I see in practice every day was David Castillo.
Yep.
The dude is going to be really, really good, and he can really shoot the basketball. And yesterday was the first time that I thought he looked like he does in practice virtually every day. I thought that was a big deal.
Now, Coach Tang has said that he is not your typical freshman. And
no.
His previous career high was 5 points against Mississippi Valley State, 17, 5 of 9 from three-point range against Arkansas Pine Bluff in 19 minutes.
Yeah, that's the point. 17 points in 19 minutes. And again, you have to say, repeat that the defense wasn't great. But when you have open looks like that, with his ability to shoot the ball, you hope that they can continue to get some of that. And the games do get harder. But I think we're seeing some progress. I really like the consistency in which David Gaston is playing right now. I think Coleman's going to be who he is most of the time. He could go out and have a 19-10 night. I'm not saying he won't, but I think it's more realistic that he's going to be anywhere from that 8 to 12, 13-point range, and hopefully anywhere from 7 or 8 to maybe 10 or so rebounds. But Achor was another guy I was excited about. He's a much better player from my perspective than what we have seen. But yesterday was a little bit of a step up for him, right?
Yeah,
I was also pumped up, if I'm being honest, about the fact that you have 14 from Brendan Hawson on basically 4 shots. He was 3 of 4 from the floor.
Yeah, Brendan, he decided to not take quite a few shots. I thought he passed up on quite a few.
He did, and I don't want him to pass up on any, but especially if they're good looks. because he's going to be, well, this is an obvious statement. If he's not forcing it and he's getting good looks, I'm just telling you, he's capable of shooting 42, 43, 44% from three, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. There were so many quality passes, and there's so much going on in the game yesterday. Occasionally, you will miss something. And what I missed is I don't mind even admitting this. When I first looked at the final box and I saw the 10 assists from Doug, I thought, 10, really? It just didn't seem like it. But yet, if you go back and watch, he was pretty good, too. I mean, he had 18, 3, 10, and 5 steals. That's a pretty good day at the office. And he, too, I think, is starting to figure out a role. Max was better. We mentioned David. Did you think at any point in your lifetime, as another example, that you would see Buddy Rich go 12 of 13 from the free throw line in his first 7 games? So there is some improvement there, but you do have to keep in mind it was UAPB, and Saturday will be harder, and going to Kansas City to play Drake will be difficult. Going to Wichita State will be difficult, and then that's it. Conference starts. 20-game schedule, man. It's here we go, right? You got some improvement to do before we get to December 30th, and hopefully they can do that.
Yeah, from here on out, it's all quality opponents for K-State, and they're trying to build this resume with two quality opponents they played so far. And when I'm talking quality, I'm saying quad 1, quad 2, and they are 0-2 against those teams, so there's some work to do. But I suppose now with football just waiting for its bowl game and K-State only playing one game this week, you should get a few naps in before a trip to New York City. Have you done your homework yet on St. John's?
Oh, sure, yeah. And I've got a game that they played this past Saturday. They beat Harvard at home 77-64. I've not watched that yet, but I've seen a couple of other games on tape that, as you might surmise with Rick Pitino, they're very well coached. I mean, the guy's won almost 860 games. That's a lot of games, dude.
Yeah.
And they have some talent. I don't know that they're going to be the best team or one of the top couple of teams in the Big East, but I think they're going to be really a difficult match. They've got a former KU player on their team in Zuby Ejiofor. I don't know if you remember that name or not, but he's a 12-point, almost 7-rebound, 2.5 block guy through the first 8, 6'9" and 240, and then got a really good wing forward type guy, R.J. Lewis, who had 24 and 10 in that game. So, and then that's just a couple of examples. Got that big kid from USC, a transfer, Vincent Iwuchukwu, and so they've got talent. And playing them at Carnesecca Arena will be emotional for them because Louis passed away this past weekend. I'm sure you heard that at 99, and I understand now that they're going to have a service for him on Friday in the arena, and then of course we're there on Saturday. So there'll be a lot of tributes to the great Lou Carnesecca. Remember how good, you're too young probably to remember, but the Big East in those days with those coaches, just insane, man.
Yeah,
Massimino and him and John Thompson and Jim Calhoun. I mean, are you kidding me?
I know of him. I know he's the winningest head coach in St. John's history, and the arena's named after him. Yeah, I know plenty about him. Just
sweaters in the world.
Uh-huh.
Remember those?
Just before my time. No, fashion has only been cool since I've been alive. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he's pretty young yet, but yeah, he was also, I think, a good ambassador for the game of college basketball, and because of their success at that particular school and in that league in the 80s, they grew the game of college basketball. There's no question about it.
All right, Wyatt, well, I appreciate your time. Safe travels out to NYC, and we'll be talking to you here very soon. Thank you.
You got it, bud. Enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
Voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson, giving us a little info on St. John's. That game tips off at 10:30 in the morning on Saturday. We thought there was going to be some conflict there for a while about the Big 12 championship game, and now it's just Iowa State versus Arizona State. Like that's going to get any ratings, am I right?
Nope.
Might get a few. Cam Scattaboo, I think he's actually he's kind of looked at as like a Ashton Genty. Like he's still really good, but doesn't have the numbers. But he's like second in. Like you have Ashton Genty, Cam Scattaboo if you want to talk all purpose, and then everybody else. Yeah. So we'll try to squeeze in a few minutes talking about the Big 12 championship coming up before we wrap up the show. But a frustrating November now in the books. It may turn into an early frustrating December. We'll talk more about that when we come back on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
So this new dose is, well, nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
Little Apple Barbershop Chorus and Heartland Harmony presents Holiday Harmony Barbershop Style. This year's concert will be Sunday, December 15th in Forum Hall at the K-State Student Union. The doors open at 2:30 p.m., show starts at 3 p.m. This is sure to be a musical afternoon. Tickets are just $15 or purchase a family pass for $50. Tickets can be purchased from Chorus members or at Forum Hall before the performance. Don't miss Little Apple Barbershop's and Heartland Harmony show Sunday, December 15th in Forum Hall at the K-State Student Union.
Are you sick and tired of waiting on an endless phone queue to get questions answered? Would you like to speak to a real-life person here in town versus someone in a different country? Sound like a novel concept? Well, it isn't. Come bank with Community First National Bank, and we give you all that and more. We have the friendliest people, great deposit and loan rates, great technology, a huge customer appreciation party each year, and a personality that puts all those other posers to shame. Come see why we're different than the other banks. Community First National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Get your morning started with KMAN's Morning News, weekdays at 6.
Coming up on Tuesday morning's edition with me, Troy Coverdale, the G. Thomas Jewelers, Godfrey's Indoor Ranges and Tactical Supply, Hy-Vee, Jingle Bell Rock search is underway. Clue number 2 of the search coming up at 7:25, plus all of the day's headlines with A.J. Shaw and CBS Radio News, your sports headlines, and more. Coming up Tuesday morning starting at 6.
KMAN's Morning News, weekday mornings 6 to 9 on News Radio, KMAN.
I'm Cole Dutchendorf on News Radio KMAN, taking a little bit of a break from the Wildcat Insider. Colleen Corbin, the 2022 Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year, who spent the 2024 season as the associate head coach at St. Louis, was announced Monday as the K-State women's soccer head coach by K-State Director of Athletics Gene Taylor. Corbin agreed to a 5-year contract, which was approved by the K-State Athletics, Inc. Board of Directors and President Richard Linton. Corbin will be formally introduced to the public during a news conference on Thursday, December 5th at 11 in the morning in the Steel and Pipe Team Theater at the Vanier Football Complex. A live stream of the news conference can be viewed on the K-State Sports Facebook page. Achor scored 21 points to lead 6 in double figures, and a late flurry of three-pointers gave Kansas State the school scoring record in a 120-73 victory over Arkansas Pine Bluff. The Wildcats scored their last 21 points on 7 three-pointers and finished with 21 threes, the second most in school history on 40 attempts. A three-pointer by Taj Manning gave K-State 117 points to go, and a Doug McDaniel three added to that point total. Now back to Wildcat Insider on News Radio KMAN.
Okay. Not bad, Cole. Not bad. Your first, by the way, you can leave the bed music going on a little longer than that. Don't worry. That's fine. It's all right. AJ can attest to it. That first update, doing it live, pretty nerve-wracking stuff. Of course, I did my first one over a decade ago, and now I would, I'd knock it out of the park. But, yeah, that first one, always a little bit nerve-wracking, but the first one out of the way, you only get better from here on out. We're back, Wildcat Insider, Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, AJ Shaw, Cole Dutchendorf with you. Cole, of course, is a cousin to John Denver. I'll give you one more opportunity, folks. One more chance to text in AYOKA, AYOKA, to 785-537-1350 because I'm giving away a pair of tickets to tomorrow night's game, and that could very well, I think the odds are pretty good, that she becomes K-State's all-time leading scorer tomorrow night in Bramlage Coliseum, which tips off at 6:30 against Eastern Illinois. So go ahead and text AYOKA to 785-537-1350 if you want to win those tickets, because during this next break, we will be getting a random number, and we'll be calling that number. If you pick up the phone, you are winning the pair of tickets. You just got to be able to come to the radio station to pick them up. They're physical, which, by the way, I'm showing the folks watching, all the people watching on YouTube right now. We do live stream the show on YouTube. If you missed the show, search for News Radio KMAN and find all of our YouTube content there. And make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you just want to listen to the podcast, just search for The Game on 1350 KMAN to take us anywhere you go. Before the break, mention the month of November. A bit of a frustrating one, to maybe say the least, because of football mostly. Basketball had some rough losses, especially to LSU. For men's basketball and women's basketball, their one true test that they had so far did not even play close to their best basketball. But it's mostly to do with football. A 1-3 finish. You lose at Houston. You lose at Iowa State, where you felt like you could have very well been the better team. You should have won at Houston. You had plenty of chances at Iowa State. The loss to Arizona State, you probably caught the pitchforks at the wrong time, where they're playing their best football. That was going to be a tough matchup. Kind of felt like it was 50-50 heading in, and K-State comes up 2 scores short. That was a really bad first half all around for K-State. I hate to say it, but could this become a little bit of a worse start of the December to add on to the end of this November? The reason I bring that up is because what is happening lately with Lincoln Cure. Lincoln Cure is a 5-star commit for the K-State football class of 2025. Tight end from Goodland. So not only is he 5 stars, he's from Kansas. I think K-State is turning into tight end U. Listen, for the ups and downs K-State football has had this year, who hasn't been pleased by these tight ends? All of them. Been great. Other than, if you want to focus on one thing, Will Ancio whiffs on a block, and that turns into the blocked field goal against Iowa State.
Not great.
Yeah, that wasn't good. That just adds on more to the special teams issues that K-State has had this year.
That's a special teams issue, not a tight end issue.
But it was a tight end that didn't block.
True. That's true.
I'm not going to lie. I think the tight end blocking could be better. It could be better. Too many whiffs this year. Sometimes it happens, but maybe a little bit too much this year. But anyway, could have certainly helped out with the run blocking for sure. So the latest on Lincoln Cure, though, Oregon hosted Washington over the weekend. Oregon blowout win. And Oregon is still looking for that tight end, I guess, for 2025. And Lincoln Cure took a visit. He was supposed to visit earlier, but I think some weather got in the way. He wasn't able to get out to Eugene. He just visited, and a lot of the experts out there think that Oregon is going to flip Lincoln Cure. And that would be a pretty big blow. I mean, K-State does have a nice recruiting class. Don't get me wrong. Even without Lincoln Cure, it's not too bad. But they're obviously going to drop in like all the rankings you see on the recruiting sources. Like On3 has K-State right now with the 40th best class in the nation. It's the 5th best in the Big 12, which those sort of things have never really mattered a whole lot. But this is especially with in-state recruiting, and somebody getting flipped on you like this at the finish line.
It's frustrating. I think from what I saw, K-State's like 3rd right now with Lincoln Cure in the Big 12, and losing him drops them down to like 14th or something in whatever metric. I mean, it's a big fall. The guys that they've gotten are good and are going to be, and I'm sure there's plenty of great future K-State players in that list, but it's been kind of a building point, right? I mean, during the Bill Snyder days, almost none of the high-profile Kansas kids would come to K-State. And then it took Chris Kleiman a little bit. He had a couple of early losses, and then hits big with Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards for a time. Eventually he gets that one back. That one still kind of counts for him. And then this was like, okay, we got some 4 stars. They've added even more 4 stars with a guy like Jordan Allen. Some of the offensive linemen they've brought in state have been of that level. And it's like, okay, so we're doing stuff with 4 stars. Let's try for the big fish now. Let's go into the deep water with where the big boys fish, and let's get ourselves a 5-star. And it seemed like it worked. But the devil never sleeps, and neither does Dan Lanning. And they've been working every angle since he signed. Begged and pleaded to get him back out there, and moved whatever mountains they needed to move. And if you're K-State, it sucks because it would have been the highest prospect, the highest rated prospect ever in K-State history. Kind of a program defining thing. Your first 5-star, that's huge, and to lose that is tough. Oregon has so much to offer kids, money-wise, opportunity-wise, connections with Nike. So it's hard to blame the K-State coaches that much necessarily. You wonder if things had gone a little differently this season, would that have maybe tipped some scales? We don't know. We don't know anything from what the national experts, but already multiple of those national experts from multiple different sites have indicated that things are trending in that direction, and they don't like to stick their necks out unless they're pretty sure. Obviously, it ain't over till it's over, but it's dark. It's dark out there.
So yes, we don't know anything for sure, but it's been people on the on 3s and 24/7s and the rivals, like their crystal ball, whatever the hell. They're saying that yes, they're gonna flip Lincoln Cure. I don't know if I'm supposed to. I don't even know if this is really. I don't know for sure, but I've just heard some whispers. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but I don't know if anybody's even reported on this. But maybe we kind of need to hear this right now. And this should be no surprise that this is taking place whatsoever. But I'm pretty sure K-State's trying to flip Desan Brame. So that would be, if you lose Lincoln Cure, you want Desan Brame.
That would be a comfort, for sure.
Rivals has Desan Brame ranked higher than Lincoln Cure in just overall grade, the state of Kansas, the tight ends. I think Rivals has Desan Brame as the second best tight end in the nation. Lincoln Cure is the third best. Just depends on where you look. It kind of varies between Lincoln Cure and Desan Brame, and I hope that's true that they are, because if they do lose Lincoln Cure, they're able to sign and they're able to get Desan Brame. Look, it's one place that has Lincoln Cure as a 5-star. Everywhere else is a 4-star. Desan Brame is very close to being a 5-star, but he's not there in any of the recruiting sources. So, yes, it wouldn't be a 5-star get, but it's still a 4-star. It's still one of the best players in the state of Kansas. If you are Desan Brame, you're the second best according to Rivals. You're number 4 from ESPN. You're a top 6 tight end in 3 of the 4 recruiting sources. So, again, I don't know a ton. Mm-hmm. But if you're K-State, of course you're trying to flip Desan Brame because, one, you might be losing Lincoln Cure, and he's also an in-state kid, which Cole and I just watched him play when Manhattan played Derby, and Cole can attest how good Desan Brame is, especially with how creative they could, that Derby could get with Desan Brame.
No, he's legit, and we saw him last year too. He didn't have the greatest game against Manhattan this year, but I think a lot of that was how Manhattan was scheming him up last year. Had a couple of really good games against Manhattan. I think one was 150 yards and a touchdown. So he's a freak. He's 6'6", 6'7", like 240, 260. He's a big guy, and he's also extremely athletic. I compared him to basically a galloping horse when he gets the ball in his hand, because he's just got those long strides, big, powerful guy. It'd be a big guy to flip if they can do that.
Now, to add on to more just recruiting here real quick, because there's going to be more coming up this week. I mean, the signing day, the early signing period opens up on Wednesday, but there's a number of areas still that K-State will want to attack with the transfer portal. We'll see who leaps into the portal, but who we hadn't mentioned so far, we're like, Jace Brown, question mark, what's the plan here? Avery was kind of like after, in the press conference after the game, like, yeah, I'm going to continue to talk to him and see if we can continue doing what we've been building on the last couple of years, and I like, because we don't want to lose Jace Brown. Now, I will say that he finished with over 750 yards in this regular season, 5 touchdowns. A big chunk of that was, of course, against Iowa State. I had, hinted at a wide receiver earlier this year that I thought was not given 100% effort, didn't seem like he cared sometimes. And I'll be quite honest with you right now, that was Jace Brown. Jace was not showing me what needed to be shown as a number 1 wide receiver for K-State at a time where they'd been struggling recently. But he is crazy talented, and he and Avery seem to have a decent connection as long as we're getting that 100% effort. Yeah. And we've seen Jace can get up the field and get separation and get out some banger of plays.
Yeah, we saw it on Saturday. I mean, we saw he looked locked in. I mean, he was K-State's main source of offense. I was honestly a little confused why they didn't try to go over the top more after it was so successful in the first half. But you want him around if he can be kept around, because you get.
And Nielsen, he's got to want to be here.
Yeah.
As well. If he's too bent out of shape because K-State isn't in the Big 12 championship this year, and he feels like he has to go somewhere else. Well, K-State should want people that want to be here, first of all. Also in the portal, cornerback Jordan Dunbar, who didn't really play a ton this year, really at all. A little bit here and there. He's a Rice transfer. He's going to go somewhere else. Cam Salas, linebacker, he's into the portal.
That one hurts a little bit.
I didn't realize Taquan Roberson still had another year of eligibility.
I was also surprised.
The former UConn, Penn State quarterback, he came in a crucial drive for K-State when Avery got hurt in the Colorado game, and now he's in the portal, and still the question mark next to Jace Brown. So.
Yeah, with the Roberson thing, it sucks. You kind of hope that who you have below him, Jabe Knuth and Blake Barnett, you kind of hope that they can kind of take that next step into being a viable backup option for Avery. They've talked about how they like both of those guys. Cam Salas does. I mean, I just feel like he was going to be the guy eventually, but there's a lot of people in that linebacker room right now.
Now, one other thing I wanted to mention about recruiting, and again, more coming up this week about this year's class. We'll break it down for you. We'll hopefully have some guests on to talk about it. Is his first name Arian Concepcion?
Yes.
Concepcion. Yeah. So he's the younger brother of Kevin Concepcion, who was a wide receiver at NC State, who K-State faced in the Pop-Tarts Bowl last year. Did not have the greatest sophomore year, but last year was over 700 yards, was the ACC Freshman of the Year, something like that. Very talented. And he just entered the transfer portal with his younger brother coming to K-State. Jace Brown or not entering the transfer portal. It feels like K-State will have an in for Kevin Concepcion and could be able to bring him to K-State, because K-State's going to need to go to the portal for a wide receiver. I think there's no doubt about that.
And it's notable, where did they flip his younger brother from? NC State.
That's right.
So they wanted to play together. Still got that opportunity.
Kevin, I'm with open arms. Come to K-State.
With arms wide open.
Because that guy, if he plays like his freshman year, NC State with Grayson McCall,
yeah,
what an absolute disappointment.
It didn't work out.
What an absolute bummer for NC State. What a swing and a miss.
Still bowl eligible.
He did not have a good season.
No, he did not, though.
Okay. We take our final timeout. We'll wrap up Wildcat Insider. Take a look at the Big 12 championship game next.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
I never dreamed I'd reach age 100. I really didn't.
C. Clyde Jones is a legend around Manhattan. The first dean of K-State's College of Business is now 101 years old. Clyde's recipe for longevity includes his customized daily home care provided by passionate, trained professionals from Interim Healthcare.
What I treasure the most at Interim is the personal relationships I've developed with the personnel who come to take care of me. Just a wonderful group of people.
At Interim Healthcare, our mission is to improve people's lives.
Well, in my case, I call it help me sustain the quality of life, because I've led a good life. No room for improvement, but the quality of Interim's help is just so good. Home health, and it's worth every penny. I just love the women who come.
We care, we're there. Interim Healthcare.
Topeka, Manhattan, Lawrence.
After facing a multitude of challenges since 2020, Flint Hills Area Transportation Agency has decided to evaluate the current system and seek out the current needs and wants of the local communities to guide a path forward. Your input is vital. Flint Hills Addabus needs your help. Get involved and share your input to help guide Addabus so they can provide more convenient and efficient connections to jobs, services, and educational opportunities. Take the survey by going to fhata.org/study.
As the seasons change, our commitment to severe weather doesn't. No matter the time of year, we always keep you informed. Severe storms, flash floods, tornadoes, even blizzards. We track every storm to give you accurate, up-to-date information. We're always watching so you don't have to. News Radio KMAN, your trusted source for severe weather updates. When the storm hits, we've got you covered. Powered by Candlewood Veterinary Clinic, Manhattan Wrecker, Hummel Tree Service, and Tall Grass Windows.
All the way to the goal in the throwdown.
Man.
He's open for three. Yes! Yes!
A Wildcat.
3 seconds to go. Scoop shot. Yes! At the buzzer.
Be a part of the Wildcat voyage right here.
Now goes back in. There's the lob and the throwdown.
On your home for Kansas State Wildcat basketball. The Cats play here. 1350 AM, 93.3 and 93.7 FM. This is News Radio KMAN.
Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area forecast, calling for mostly cloudy skies tonight, but then gradually becoming clear with a low of 16. Sunshine, a high of 43 tomorrow, but a light south wind that'll shift to the southwest throughout the morning. Between 5 to 10, they could get as high as 20 miles per hour. Then mostly clear skies to tomorrow evening with a low of 31. Those wind gusts again could get as high as 20 miles an hour as they'll come out of the southwest.
Forgot to mention, Desan Brame, currently committed to Tennessee. Tennessee Volunteer. He was Oregon. Now he's Tennessee. And if it doesn't work out with Lincoln Cure, maybe K-State can pull off a fast one. And because they've been real flippy-flip with getting guys to flip to come to K-State the last couple of years. It seems like it's been on a higher level lately. Maybe they can get it done with Desan Brame. You never know. Well, buckle up. K-State, I should say just college football in general is a 24/7 roller coaster ride these days.
And Brame wouldn't be a second option. They wanted them both.
For sure.
They pursued them both to come together. So, I don't know. I'm excited to see how that turns out, and also terrified.
All right, earlier we weren't able to get to this later. Let's just touch on it briefly here. Projected bowl spots for K-State. Look, I know nobody wants to go to the Liberty Bowl. Liberty Bowl might be the best option. Like when it comes to tier of bowl games, Liberty Bowl might be it, which would be somebody in the SEC. God, if it's Arkansas again, I'm tired of Arkansas and all sports.
Oklahoma.
Could be Oklahoma. I've seen Vanderbilt. That's just it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell right now. Well, Vandy it's interesting because obviously they beat Alabama. They almost beat Texas.
Diego Pavia.
Yeah, he's, people have heard of him, so that makes Vanderbilt all of a sudden interesting. But the win over Vanderbilt was quite noteworthy. But I've seen the Armed Forces Bowl thrown out there, the Raid Bowl in Phoenix.
The First Responder Bowl.
The First Responder Bowl, which is in Dallas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have two military-ish or first dedicated to those folks, first responders or our military. Those are both in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So,
and then the LA Bowl, which is dedicated to Gronk.
So, yeah, that's the thing. That was an old Pac-12 spot. Was that it?
Yes, it is one of the bowls that is earmarked for the legacy Pac-12 members. And if, for some reason, all of those spots don't get filled, which there are 6 former or current Pac-12 teams that are bowl eligible. So if they don't fill all those, we'll see.
See, I was kind of hoping like, okay, well, K-State's bowl eligible, Nebraska's bowl eligible, and both since they're probably going to like kind of a crappy tier bowl game, like, could we make that happen? But I don't think the Big 12 has any ties with the Big 10.
The guaranteed rate is Big 10.
Is the rate Big 10?
Because that's the former Buffalo Wild Wings.
Like the projections I've seen for that is like, yeah, you're right. It is. You're right.
Yeah.
But like Minnesota would maybe be that opponent or, yeah. You know.
I mean, K-State's coaches do not like PJ Flex. That'd be fun.
So I've heard. So I have heard. Let's see. We got a couple of minutes left. This Saturday at 11 a.m. is the Big 12 championship game, Arizona State and Iowa State. Right now, Arizona State is a 2-point favorite. The old Dr. Pepper in Arlington, Texas, the team that was picked to finish dead last in the Big 12, taking on somebody kind of in the middle in Iowa State. The big news here, Jordan Tyson, the star wide receiver for Arizona State, is banged up. He will not play in the Big 12 championship game. Other than that, it's game on. Where are you leaning right now? Who wins the Big 12?
Man, I was leaning hard Arizona State.
Me too.
I just think that they're on a tear. And they have an identity. But if they don't, I mean, not having Tyson is tough because they can't go over the top as easily. And I think that maybe Iowa State can make them one-dimensional and turn this into an ugly slugfest.
You know, it was disappointing to see K-State struggle to run the ball against Iowa State, a team that had been bad at stopping the run. That was another frustrating part to the end of this season. I don't think Iowa State stops Cam Scatterbo.
I don't think so either.
They may try, but I think they're going to fail. I really do. So, Rocco Becht, he was also trying to throw interceptions. He was not very accurate against K-State. 13 of 31? Not good. So, Arizona State's playing way better football than K-State is than Iowa State is down the stretch.
Absolutely.
So it's close. I hope this is a good game for the sake of the Big 12. Give me the team that's right now ranked in the same position they were picked to finish in the Big 12, 16. Give me Arizona State to beat Iowa State because I don't like Iowa State having nice things.
It's true.
It already makes me sick that they beat K-State for their 10th win. A Big 12 championship, could you imagine that up in Ames, Iowa?
Go to a playoff. Get to go to a playoff.
Busch Light might throw them a party. Yeah, I forget about the playoff. Yeah, the representative of the Big 12. Give me Arizona State. Plus, it's still possible every conference champion could be a team that just joined that conference.
That would be fun.
Crazy. We got a bounce for AJ, Cole, Tim. I'm Mitch. Back for 4 to 6 tomorrow. Go Cats.
Getting you closer to the locker room than anyone else. This is Wildcat Insider. Wildcat Insider, an exclusive presentation of the flagship station of the K-State Sports Network. News Radio 1350, KMAN.
Shady Grove, my little miss. Shady Grove, my darling.
Ricky Skaggs and Kentucky Thunder are performing their Grammy-winning bluegrass, country, and gospel hits at Prairie Band Casino and Resort on Thursday, January 23rd.
Lord, send the angels for my darling.
Must be 18 or over to attend. Get your tickets to Ricky Skaggs at prairieband.com/shows.
At McCown Gordon Construction, we improve lives by building authentic relationships. No matter the project size, our clients enjoy unmatched talent and resources in the Manhattan area market. Early collaboration with our pre-construction team ensures cost certainty, preventing surprises. Whether it's new construction or expansion, our team simplifies complex projects. We build to serve the community. McCown Gordon Construction, proud builder for K-State and the KSU Foundation. Visit McCownGordon.com.
KS State Bank offers convenient services to help make life a little easier. Visit ksstate.bank to learn more. KS State Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. KMAN.